welcome to Look Up TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality. You can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I am your girl, Lana, your resident evil diva. And I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Per. I also love something else, and that is my cup mug. Yeah. And you can get your cup mug at laundrycreations.etsy.com. That link will be in the description below. And we do ship internationally and domestically, so there are no excuses. Get your cup mug, period.
And hello, my name is Jack. I am the resident game designer of the panel, and you know what, Lana? I actually can't be here right now. I just want to go home really quick and get a home cooked meal. So I'm gonna go, but you can do this on your own. I'll see you later. And that made
Lame.
more sense than the decision on this show.
I'm going to tell you the same response I gave that decision. Lame.
Correct.
Lame. But yes. Jack, we have jumped off one bus and right into another one. We literally had no time to rest in between the buses.
Literally no time, but I will say it does feel like this show, this version of Destination X, is the harder version of the show. So maybe
Mhm.
watching US first was the right call.
It definitely is harder and a lot of more information to compact into this little brain of mine at one time. So God help us all. Like they literally said, US, y'all was the easy version. This one, we go crank it up several notches. And I was like, oh, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we were very blessed with the US of like, okay, so here's like one or two clues at a time. There might be like a special hidden third clue if you could parse it. No, here it's like, we're going to give you 30 clues. Three of them are relevant, and the actual three are hidden away to where you can't see them. Good luck!
It was a lot. It was a lot. And I can't wait to talk about it because, man, it was a lot. But before we dive into it, y'all, if you are new here and this is your first adventure with us, thanks for joining. We appreciate you. We hope you enjoy the ride. If you do, please hit the subscribe button before you leave. Hit that subscribe to this channel, and we are on a mission to get 1,000 new subscribers by the end of the year. So we hope that you will help us out and help us get reach our goal. Um, if you are a fan of any competitive reality television show, this is where we are. We got Destination XUK now. We have Big Brother. We have uh, Project Runway. We have Survivor coming. We have Survivor Australia coming versus the world. We have that coming. We have Amazing Race coming very soon. We got show after
There's so
show.
much.
The
There's so
snake,
much.
the snake is here. We're doing the snake too. We just wrapped up Destination X USA, and so we hopped right on. We never left Europe. We just went
We
from one
never left
bus.
Europe.
We just got on another bus and was like, let's keep on rolling. We wanted to keep this journey rolling, so we love that. So if you are a fan of any of those shows or you have some more shows that you want us to cover, you know what to do. Leave comments, let us know. Subscribe to the channel, follow us, do all those things to help to say you support us, and we truly appreciate you. Also, if you're a fan of Drag Race, Eurovision, or WWE wrestling, we have channels for you. Also, all those links will be in the description below. Click on them. They are also on a mission trying to get 1,000 new subscribers by the end of the year. That would be awesome. If you need to check us out on the go, we have our audio podcast links down in our description, as well as our Patreon. Join the Patreon for fun things that we do behind the scenes that will never come out on the channel, and then some early access things that you can see first that'll come out on the channel much later. Also, follow all of our socials at the Top Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And you can follow Jack and myself. Thank you all who've been following lately. I see you. I see you. But follow us on all of our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. all those places you can find us, and you can find me and Jack there too. So check us out and do those things. And so let's get into it, Jack, because what a ride! What a ride! We start off while they're taking us to the airport in Baden-Baden, Germany, and I'm like, okay, but the way they set this up, I absolutely love this. This was so chaotic, but so good all at the same time. They had the contestants come into what seemed like a normal airport with other passengers and people milling around, uh, people waiting on planes. They were going to the check in. The lady was like, "Where are you going?" They were like, we don't
Good
know.
question.
I have no idea." And we had actors arguing, we had actors pretending to be going to London, we had actors just all kind of clues were being thrown around in this airport. We had announcements going off, things that they needed to listen to, passengers' names being called. It was just a lot. It was a lot of stuff going on. And we were warned by the host, Rob, that there are clues everywhere. If you look, there are clues everywhere. So we knew they were in Germany. That was my first. I was like, okay, we're in Germany for sure. We see the German flag, we see the German colors. We know we're in Germany. We know that for sure. Um, but they had everything so meticulously played out, and then after all the scenes that they needed to show were shown, names were called, boardings were canceled, flights were canceled, ringtones were rung, just a lot of stuff happening. All of a sudden, they called and said all these flights were canceled, and anybody who was on these flights need to leave, and everybody who was not a contestant will end up leaving. So I was like, "Oh, that's a cute way to introduce the contestants to the audience." Um, and they go out, and then the host Rob comes in with his flight crew. They come in, and they're like, "Listen, it's 13 of y'all here. There's only 10 spots on the bus. So
Which,
three,
oh, at least from the US version, we were used to, like, okay, we're starting with 10. Those are the people that are playing the game. I did not expect immediately to throw three people out the window. That
me either.
was just a really good surprise. Although at that moment I was like,
They're coming
okay,
back.
we've literally seen this on the traders as well. These people will come back later. We've seen this with uh and just to be clear, if you haven't watched all of the Destination X US coverage, we will 100% be spoiling and comparing it. So
Absolutely,
it,
absolutely.
it's like great, okay, people are gonna come onto the bus like Janae and Peter did. Like there's no question of like we're gonna see these people again if they go out here. They're just coming into the game late, which we saw as a benefit and a curse. So
Hmm. There's no way they flew these people all the way to Germany only to say, because you didn't finish this first clue first, three, y'all got to go home right now. They're going to bring them back for some reason
mhm.
or another. And maybe two or all three will get back in the game, but somebody's coming back in that game out of those three.
My bet is actually similar to what they did with
The
the
traders.
initial the train and then the cages on UK on Traders
Hmm.
UK, which
Yep.
was just two of you will get back into the game. One of
Yeah.
you genuinely is screwed over and going home.
Yeah. That's what I feel. I feel like that is where the what is going to end up happening. But we see the first six people had to properly get the uh bags that was strewn all over the airport area. They had to get the right bag that way, the exact weight of the the
The
the
maximum weight
maximum
that was
weight.
allowed on the plane.
Yes. So it was 10 kilograms because we saw the argument happen with the couple where she was like, I know this bag would weigh under 10 kilograms because I weighed it myself before I left. And it said, the machine said it was 11. And she was like, no, it's under 10 because I weighed it myself. So if you listen to the argument, you knew that the maximum weight was 10 kilograms. And so certain people knew this. I'm going to bring up this cast so we can talk about it when we see who
Oh
they
yeah.
are because I don't know all of their names just yet.
I mean,
It's
granted, in the typical UK show fashion, like most of them, we have no idea who they are
yep,
until probably they go home.
yeah, yeah. Like, but I think it was in her name, Judith.
Uh,
Judith
yeah.
was the one who realized who listened to that argument and knew 10 kilograms, and so she was getting the 10 kilograms and, trying to make sure that she got that correct. And she was the first one to get it right. Then a lot of other people started following suit. We had, Lord, I can't see, but we had Ben got it. No, Ben didn't get it correct. We saw, let's start at the bottom. Saskia got it.
Yep.
Nick got it. Maddie got it. Judith got it. James got it.
Uh,
And yeah,
Dawn and Darren were the other two to get the
yes,
suitcases.
yes, Dawn and Darren. They were the other two. So they got the suitcases, and so those six got automatic boarding passes, so they were going on. So then that left Ashvin, Ben, Chloe Ann, Claire, and Josh to have to figure out the next.
Along with Deborah and James,
Yeah,
yes.
Deborah and James. So they all had to figure out the next mm, four people to make it to get their boarding passes. And so the next part was it was some names that was called out and they had to find those names and bring them to the host. Um Ben got help from Saskia. She was like, it's Lorraine or Emily. Or, yeah,
I
Lorraine,
want to say it was, yeah, Lorraine. I think he ends up bringing back Emily
Emily.
specifically.
No, I think Josh brings back Emily. Ben brought back No, Ben brought back Joan. It was
Yes.
Joan. Yes. Ben brought back Joan. So it was but the names are Lorraine, Emily, Joan, and Arnold.
Yes.
And Ben brought back Joan. James brings back Arnold. Deb brings back Lorraine. And Josh finds Emily. They would help everybody. They were like, it's
Yeah.
either Lily or so they all yelling out what the names are. And so Josh finds Emily. So that leaves Ashvin, Carol, Chloe Ann, and Claire as the three people without boarding passes, and they were sent packing. They were sent on their way. And the crazy part is, I didn't know who Chloe Ann was.
Genuinely, as I was just watching it back, I was like, okay, Judith, Maddie, Darren, Nick, Saskia get it. And another brown haired woman. I like fully had to like scan through the episode to figure out if Chloe Ann or Dawn got that because basically neither get any coverage.
None whatsoever. I was like, I don't even know who she was. Like we saw Claire talking for a minute. We saw Ashwin come in, but he sits
Mhm.
off by himself, and so he doesn't say anything. So we don't get anything from Ashwin. We don't get anything from Chloe, and we get very little from Claire. And those are the three who ended up going home. And so I was like, oh, okay, all right, well,
Yeah.
cool. So after these 10 people get their boarding passes, it's like, okay, head on out. And the three of y'all head on home.
Get back in the van and
Get out.
bye.
It's like, Oh,
But of
okay.
course, they mention like, oh, but this magical mystery tour is going to have a bunch of twists. So
Yeah.
basically, question mark over all of them. We'll see them in 2 or 3 episodes.
I well,
Yeah,
for now,
for
for
now at
now,
least.
for now, they're gone. But they had sent the other ones to two helicopters. I was like, "Ooh, budget,
Ooh.
okay, budget." I said, "Yeah." So they have two helicopters, and they split them up five and five, and everybody gets on the helicopters, and they're flying. They don't know where they're going because, of course, the vision goggles are back. You don't know where you're going. You just know they know they're in a helicopter. They don't know where they're going. They just flying. And so they fly, and then all of a sudden the vision goggles come on, and they could see that they could see lakes and rivers and some grassy areas.
Genuinely, I don't see how this was helpful other than they were able to see out of the helicopter for 30 seconds. One person I think got the only relevant information out of this, and it was a stretch.
Mm. It was just like we don't know. We just see land. We don't know what this land is. We just see land, and they're flying, and then the helicopter lands, and the same people who took them to this flight, this helicopter, the first time is back. So it looked like they have did a circle and came right back to where they started.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out that is not the case at all because these jokesters are brilliant. They hired twins for everything that they needed. A twin security guard, twin uh, flight worker, twin check-in gate person, and they had these same people in one place to the next place, and it looked like they just did a complete circle and came back to the same airstrip that they left from. But if you notice small details, very small details about these people that looked a little different, slightly different. Like Sarah, the flight crew member, her name went from Sarah with an H to Sarah with no H.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had the security guard, Rich.
It turned from Rich to Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, there. Which, huh?
It's
I
crazy.
mean, we're immediately like throwing these people under the bus. For like, yeah, no, we're just gonna fuck with them.
We just
There's
messing
no
with
questions.
They just really messing with their brains. The check-in lady went had from one scarf to another. No, her hair was brown to blonde.
Yeah, and I want to say the uh a flight worker with a neon vest, the shirt underneath changed. So
Yeah,
like, but you could also just make the argument that they swapped their clothes and that you're still in the same place and that this is messing with you. So genuinely, either argument could stand without problem.
it would still be true. Both things could be true. It's like, oh, they just changed their clothes and their name tags. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how they changed the hair color. Well, a wig could have easily changed the hair
A
color.
wig,
So,
yeah.
so it's just
That's
like,
probably the biggest detail of like, oh, this may not be the same person. But
right.
also they were in the air for an hour. So,
It's just crazy. But we see them. Uh, they're finally introduced to where they're going to be spending the next few weeks on this bus. And one big difference from the US to this one, they have two buses. They have one bus that they live on, and then another bus where they sleep on. And I was
they're
like,
they're really just acknowledging there are two buses versus the US where they just
you,
never talk about it. But
right. I'm like,
yeah,
it
it's
is
at
two
least
buses.
cute.
It's cute. I was like, we didn't see the two buses on the US, even though we knew there were two buses because you're not going to fit 10 people. And
They're not gonna fit. Yeah.
that's not going to work. I don't care how big your buses are. That's just not going to work. But we see the two buses. We see that they get to go from one to the other, which I'm like, okay, cute. Um, so then they're all driving and they're talking, and people are starting to get to know each other. What trying I guess trying to suss each other out a little bit, in my opinion. Um, James is instantly like drawn to Saskia. Really enjoys, like, she seems like somebody who I will want to try to talk to and get to know, and yada yada yada. We find out Judith is a nuclear engineer. I was like, okay, that's impressive
Work.
work indeed. And we see that uh Devin, that's his name,
Darren.
Darren, I can't see there, yeah, he talks about his family, his wife, his kids, uh and that's who he's working for. I was like, okay, Rick, he's
It's like, yeah, great. That's the same archetype. We're just kind of like changing from bird watching to London taxi driver, which
mm-hmm.
I will note is an absolutely insane position to get. I've seen videos on it and all. There's so much crazy memorization there. So I'm immediately on Darren's side of like, okay, he is a massive threat to win.
Yeah, absolutely. But we don't get much from anybody else. We don't know anybody else that much. Um,
Well, we do get one other person that
well,
we know a
Deb.
little bit.
Well, a little bit about Deb too.
A bit about Deb, which is not relevant at all to anything that happens later.
I mean, Deb's a crime writer.
Deb is a crime writer, which, if I had a nickel for every time that we had in 2024 an older woman who is a crime writer on British reality TV, I'd have two nickels.
Hmm.
Which isn't a lot, but like, weird that we're casting from the same, like, the very specific archetype twice.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's cool. She was like, I need to make sure I step out of Deb world and into the real
Mm-hmm.
world, so I'm not like looking at everything and flighty, flighty, but I need to focus. And I so get that. I was like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
because I do live in Lana world sometimes, and it's just like doo doo, not paying attention to anything. My sister says I am the worst person to try to get directions from, but I can read a map like nobody's business. Like, I will get you where you need to go. Now, if you ask me how to do it without a map, yeah,
We'll figure it out.
we'll figure that out. But yeah, I did like that about Deb and her thing. But they're driving. Like I said, they're talking, getting to know each other. Rob comes back on and tells them to put their goggles back on because they're at their next destination, their next stop, for to try to get some more clues. And they find themselves, after they put once they take the goggles off, they're in a box, in a room. Well, it looks like a room to them, in a room with all of these pictures, like so many different pictures, and they don't know what pictures are real clues or are red herrings or what. It's just a lot. We had I can't remember all the pictures, but I do remember like 99.
There's so
I see
many.
balloons. I see red balloons. I was like, "Ooh, 99 is balloons." That's what I saw. I was like, "Ooh, this is you telling me they were in Germany because that band was from Germany. Well, are we still in Germany? Or they're Austria? Because I think they're an Austrian band." But 99 balloons, we said we saw two cans, we saw
A bunch
ice
of eyes falling,
yeah, ice falling. And so
literal red herring.
yeah.
Like, uh, genuinely, attempting to parse what was in this room was nonsense.
It
And
was
I
nonsensical.
genuinely do not think that attempting to get anything out of this room except for like one or two clues made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I will note that unfortunately you put a red herring in a room and then have important clues also only in red. I am
Mm-hmm.
going to discard said clues. So unfortunately there's a little bit of crossed wires for me in terms of like, did that message get across correctly? And in my mind, no. And we'll once we get deeper into this, I have a bigger gripe, but we'll see.
Um, so they go through and they have to answer these questions about where they are, even though they have no idea where they are or where they think they are. And they have to answer these questions A or B. And once they figure out what it is, they will go to that side and then a window will open and they will all have to look out the window to see what this other clue is that they're passing, that they have in the thing. And so it's just okay. So I, I need you to tell me, Jack, because I was looking at these clues, both sides, and I was just like, some of these are making sense to me. Some of these are not making sense to me. Even the ones that we find out are later that was right, the right clue. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? And like, it was just random things that I don't know how I feel about these clues and if they were helpful or hurtful than anything.
Honestly, I think that is probably the biggest critique I have of this entire episode. I mean, maybe where the US was very simple and a little bit too straightforward at points, and even then people still miss stuff. Here, basically, we find out this whole episode is just messing with people to the point that the more information you end up having, the more incorrect you are. And that feels like that shouldn't be the point of this show, to where people who are supposed to be in a good position because they're doing well are getting punished because they're getting information that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right. It's just weird. It was I mean, like we saw two dogs being walked. One was a German
Yes.
Shepherd, one was a Saint Bernard. Um,
But the correct way to interpret the clue is to actually ignore the one that makes any sense and instead interpret the seemingly incorrect one through a nickname that is uncommon.
right.
Which,
Huh?
huh?
What? It's so weird.
And I mean, the other one was okay, we have Tulip,
Uh-huh.
which, great, that one is wrong no matter what. The other one is Roses with a V on it, which once again you have to interpret in a way that doesn't make sense in order for it to make sense. Like you have to make a logical leap for half of the clues here for them to track in a way that makes any sense, which
Hmm.
is strange to do because you're essentially giving the correct answer incorrect information.
Right. The only one that made sense to me was like the French pastries that they show, or the different pastries, and I was like, okay, is this French pastry? And both of them had like French pastries on both sides. So I'm like,
Yeah.
are
Honestly,
we
the
just?
only one in my mind that made any sense was the first one, where it's okay, here are two footballers. One
Hmm.
is from this country, one is
One
from
is
this
from this
country.
country.
Like,
Yep.
that is the most definitive answer that made sense. And honestly, that pointed a lot of people towards the right answer. And then you threw three other questions at them that didn't make much sense, which is
Right.
unfortunate.
It was unfortunate. I will say Dawn in this moment did everything right. She did everything correct. She
Mhm.
impressed me the most. She looked out the window and looked past the clue that they were showing and was just looking around like, what is this? What's
Yeah.
happening around the city? What can we see? And she saw restaurants with very French names like La Petite, La Montée, and just was looking around and everybody, she was trying to tell people, she was like, listen, I don't know, I think we're in France. This, I saw this cafe, I see this thing, I see this other thing that looks like very French to me. And everybody was like, but with everything else that they were giving us is pointing us towards Austria. And everybody was like, I feel like we might be in Austria. And Darn was like, okay, but I don't know, I'm looking at these clues and then these pictures, and then everything else I'm seeing is telling me France. But I'm gonna be honest, I was not with her. I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking Austria because of this next thing that we're talking about. When they announced a winner of this whole thing, and it was Deb. Deb wins. She shares her clue with Nick, who they will go and get the first clue. So they step out of the box with goggles on, and they're met by two guys with these long scarves, two sets of twins, a set of twins rather, and then this woman who's speaking a language that does not sound French. It sounds very German. It sounds very like German or Austrian. Like it doesn't sound
Yeah,
French at
it's
all.
it's very clearly not French. There's text on a building nearby, very prominently, which is
Not
not
French.
French.
It's just,
Which
if you're giving somebody a clue because they win, why does it look like you're just trying to throw people off? Because that's what it felt like, they were throwing them off. Because for me, I was like, well, they got to be in like Germany, or well, out of somewhere around Germany or Austria or somewhere like that, where it's a German speaking country. Because that's what I'm
so
seeing.
Nick did say at the end, because he was testing to see if he could figure out what language he said, he ends up saying Danke.
Right.
And the woman responds, basically giving him a hint that, yeah, you're probably in Germany. Which, no! In fact, that's completely wrong. So, the problem that they gave essentially people who won the task information that just is dead wrong, and the only way to parse that is to know that a different country
Mm-hmm.
has a twin town
Yep.
and is a multilingual city that is basically only that part is honestly kind of screwed up. And I think that decision directly sends someone who should be in a good position this episode home.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So then we have, oh shoot, I think we then have they just, I don't know. I found it very
They
fun.
at this point they kind of just like move on with their day. Like they don't
Yeah.
even really do anything about it. They discuss Deb and Nick kind of just like lightly discuss what they talked about, and everyone is now more confused. Like there's no sanity or like logic to what they've been parsing. It's like, well, some of the clues pointed towards Austria, some of the clues pointed towards Germany, some of the clues pointed towards France. What do we do? I feel like the only way to have actually figured this out is to look at Deborah,
Mm-hmm.
see what she answered, and then attempt to parse what the actual answers to the questions were. Because at least for Eurovision wins, you could probably figure out if a country has 2 or 5 wins.
Right.
If it has 5, it's probably a lot more of a populated country and has been in it for longer.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been a clue, but at the same time, no one tracked who was getting answers right because no one knew what answer was right. So
Right. It just felt like it wasn't explained well. Like if that was the
mhm.
case, or like nobody would know to do that. Nobody would know to track who has the most answers right, because you were saying that the host said, I'm not going to tell you who's right, what answer's right or wrong. So they wouldn't know what was right or wrong in the first place. It didn't matter if we knew or not, they would know. It just, I don't know. It just seemed a little strange.
It was definitely a little bit strange. I mean, that whole sequence is basically the major critique I have with this episode. But I mean, I still really enjoyed the episode. It's just like the game felt like it got tainted a little bit, unfortunately.
It got a little muddy. It got a little like for me, I was like, okay, I'm starting to not understand what the purpose of these clues are. If it's to, is it
Hmm.
if it what the reason is it to help them or is it to distract them? Is and I felt like most of the clues were more of a distraction than it was a help. And for me, I was like, I don't know if I like that because
Hmm.
it felt like they were purposely putting people off track for what reason when the game is to try to figure out what destination you were at. So I kind of was like, yeah, eh,
Yeah.
not really feeling that whole situation, but uh, it is what it is at that point. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. Um, but so they get back on the bus and um they get back on the bus. They go all of a sudden we see them go to bed. We see them go to bed and everything, and they go to their sleeping quarters. They see the sleeping room. And it was great. Everybody had a great time. They go to bed. They wake up the next day, and everybody's like, "Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning." And we all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, we just find out that Maddie decides to quit. And I'm like, "What? What?
Huh? Wait.
What?"
Genuinely so confused because they play it off as just, oh, well, I want to go home and I want to like have a home cooked meal.
I
It
miss
is
my
day
family.
2.
Literally day two. What do you
I
mean you miss your family and you want to go home and have a home cooked meal?
I understand that maybe the actual onboarding, obviously they didn't leave from the airport to go to Germany and it's all been one day and this is
Right.
actually day 2 of the process.
No, we know.
But
But it
the
can't be
part that
longer than like 2 weeks though.
I wouldn't say longer than 4 or 5 days. And the part that annoys me more, honestly, is that we kicked 3 people out of the game a day ago, and Madi just slipped through that. So the fact that now that Madi is an official player of the game, he basically leaves at the earliest possible opportunity is really, really annoying. Because
Lame.
it not only does it 100% disrupt production schedule for no reason, but now we just look at the other 3 players who have already left and been like, great, we could have had a cast of 12 and had one less player leave at the start of the game.
Which makes me believe that they're bringing all three of them back at some point. They're gonna
They
get
have to
a.
now.
They have to now because he left, and but I just feel like that's him being 22, being very young and very like dependent on his
He's
folks,
a
and
content
he's
creator. Genuinely, this show, he didn't care about this show and was like, well, I can get on and see if I can do well. Maybe he didn't feel like he was going to do well, so he left the show immediately because he didn't care.
didn't care, and that just bugs me because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if so, we will not talk about that person anymore. You quit, you
Yeah,
lame.
that's it.
So we find out that they called Deb to the back because she's getting a second clue. But everybody don't know she's getting a second clue. They just tell Deb to come to the back. She goes to the back of the bus, and then they tell her about a clue. They say if you open this box and get this clue, you you can share it with Nick, but nobody else can find out about this clue. If anybody finds out about this clue, you're eliminated. And so she's like, oh, okay. So if I share it with Nick, nobody else can find it. Even if he tells somebody, not me, I get eliminated. And
That's
he's
how it's
like,
implied.
that's what it looks like. That's what I got from it.
That's the exact same read that I got. So I'm like, okay.
I'm like, okay, so if she shares it, he tells somebody, they both, or she's gone, or but then she takes the clue. She's like, I mean, I'm gonna share it with Nick, and he won't say anything. I know he won't say anything. He's a good player. He won't say anything. So the clue is a Statue of Liberty figurine, and then the name Kotar on the bottom. And she's like, okay, what does this mean? She has no clue what this means. And but she puts it back in the box. She hides the box. Um, and she goes and she tells Nick that, hey, I've lost my. Well, first she comes out looking very flushed and things. She's like, I was just so hot in there. I'm just not, I'm just tired. She's like, but I think I lost my bracelet back there. It was stuck on the chair, on the back of the chair. I couldn't get it off. Could you go get it off for me? And Nick is like, yeah, sure. He goes in there, doesn't see a bracelet because there's no bracelet. He finds the box. And Rob tells him, like, listen, if you open that box, you get the clue. But if anybody else finds out about this clue, you're eliminated.
Which, wait, hold on. That's a different rule than was what was just told to Deb. What was told to Deb is that if Nick shared the information, she would be eliminated. Now, if Nick shares the information, he's eliminated. So are they
So
both
both
eliminated? Which, by the way, would then eliminate nearly half the cast in episode 1.
crazy. But if they refuse and don't look in the box, then it is what it is.
Mm,
So so Nick refuses. And he decides not to look in the box. He's gonna go. So he comes out and is like, hey, I got offered a clue, but I didn't take it because
he can't explain why.
I didn't take it. And then he said, and Deb got the same clue and she didn't take it. So we didn't take the clue because it would
Mm-hmm.
be high stakes if we took the clue. And we decided not to take the clue. And everybody's like, yay, Deb, that's so great. Nick, that's so wonderful. And I'm like, Nick, you just gonna say that not knowing if Deb took the clue or not.
Genuinely, this is where I think that Nick was explained the entire thing. Either Deb was explained it wrong, Nick was explained it wrong, or we were explained it wrong comparing the two because what Nick says makes no sense.
None whatsoever.
And Deborah's reaction to it doesn't make any sense either because she's like, well, everyone now knows I'm a liar and I'm horrible. It's like,
But he said you didn't take the clue. And I was so confused by this ending part, this part here. I was like,
mm-hmm,
I'm lost. But I'm gonna keep riding with it to see what happens because I was very lost. Like you said, either we were explaining the clue wrong, or they were explaining the clue wrong, or Nick was just like something was off about that entire
mm-hmm,
situation. I was completely like not understanding what was happening, but I was like, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm stupid. But I
no.
come to find out that it wasn't just me, so I love that. But after that, after the whole thing, and people are congratulating Deb, and she's feeling awful because she did not take the clue. She took the clue, but she just didn't know what to do with the clue, what that means, because she still can't say anything because if anybody finds out, she can get eliminated. So she can't say anything. But she don't know what that means. She didn't know what this Statue of Liberty means. Now, here's what I was like, am I getting back on track here? Because I know the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France.
Mm-hmm.
But what does Colter have to do with anything? I didn't know what that meant.
So I think I clocked why it was specifically Cotere on it.
Okay.
The third question asked was in the box of tricks was what is the closest replica of the Statue of Liberty? More
Yes.
than likely, that was the closest one at that point at 40 kilometers. With the small problem of that doesn't sound French.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I made the exact same leap as like, okay, so Statue of Liberty, it must be France. But the bottom name immediately throws me back off that track. Basically, this whole episode is can you correctly identify one area of
Of the
France
mm,
that doesn't have the same traits as the rest of France? Otherwise, you will not understand anything, which is a really confusing thing to throw at players in round one.
it's just a lot. It was just a
Mm-hmm.
lot. But they finally get to Destination X after driving for so long. They get to Destination X, and everybody has to go to the map room, which is on the bus. I'm glad I like that they're telling us what these map rooms are and what
Yeah.
like what things are in the show instead of us trying to hide everything, like making it real slick and like, oh, we go off the bus to do the map room. No, you do. You just go right to the back of the bus to do the map room. They don't hide what's actually happening. So everybody goes into the map room and they start placing their X. And this is where I knew everybody was just as confused as I was because everybody's placement on this map was all over the place. It was all over the place. Everybody's like, we're in Austria, we're in Switzerland, we're in, here, we're there.
L-
Everybody was all over the place.
Literally from me looking at it again, we have France, Switzerland, Austria, Italy.
Yeah,
All four, and it's not like they're all clustered in one area. No, they
no,
are literally from like the basically left edge of Switzerland to dead center Austria. It is just all spread throughout there. I don't know what happened.
everybody was just confused and it was just wild to see. And here is where I was just completely upset because the person who you said did everything right, got the questions right, got the answers right, got the clues. You give them the clues, and then it's like they should be in a great position, right? They should, by this point, they got two clues. They should know at least a vicinity of where they are. If not the exact place, they should know the vicinity because they got two clues and they got the answers right and all of a sudden. But we go to the map room. Rob gets back on the bus and says the person eliminated who's furthest away from Destination X is Deb. The same Deb. I don't know why that just did it. Oh, because I remember I didn't fix it right. But anyway, the same Deb. It'll be fixed next week. The same Deb that just got
that
all the clues.
and I mean, we do find out why all of the clues were like that. And it's because you can go to basically the southeast corner of France and find a city that doesn't feel like France. And that is basically what everything in this episode pointed to. Anyway, Destination X is up in Paris.
Paris. We saw one Eiffel Tower reference, and that was what they were supposed to base this whole thing on.
One Eiffel Tower reference, and also the correct pastries were patisseries.
Uh, And that restaurant, that cafe that she called, that Dawn saw, was La Patisserie.
But I don't even think they intended that. Like
No!
that wasn't their goal. It genuinely this is the one thing that I'm like the clues that you gave did not lead to the country that made any sense this episode. And I get that you want this to be trippy and you want this to screw with people. This is not the way to do it where you are screwing with them so much that the only logical answer is completely wrong and the incorrect answer the answer that's correct in this case, you have to interpret through getting things intentionally wrong or stopping at certain points.
Which part of the clue makes sense, and then the second part of the clue doesn't make sense. It's just like the Statue of Liberty makes sense. The Coattail part made no sense. It's just like I don't understand what you want from these people to sift
Yeah.
through these clues to get to the right answer. And the only reason I feel like Dawn was on the money is because she just literally would not get France out of her brain. She saw what she saw with her own eyes and was like, "We are not in Austria. We are not in Germany. We have got to be in France because like the patisserie cafe, and then these French people walking around in berets. We saw a woman literally walk past them in beret. Now you wanted me to actually get the clue Emily at the airport." Saying that we are going to Paris because of the one show Emily in Paris. Emily is such a common name.
Emily
How
is
much?
so common.
How are we supposed to guess that?
And that
It's
means every other clue, every other name was completely irrelevant. How were we supposed to tell they were irrelevant? We weren't.
You are because I saw Arnold and I was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's from Austria.
And I will also note that one of the things they prominently show us in the airport is like, oh, this exit has 135 steps. Be careful. So that relates to something in Rome.
It is just so many places that they could have been where these clues were shown, but I don't know.
And the other thing that I will note, the call out just before like every basically all of the actors leave in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
One of the four things that is explicitly stated as the flight to this location is canceled is Paris.
Yep.
So in my mind, that would tell me Paris is never going to be the right answer. I paid attention to that versus, yeah, no, that was just coincidence. Sorry.
Right. Because you said London and Paris and Rome and another place. Like all these places were not, they were canceled. So I'm like, we're not going to these places.
Yeah.
That'd have been my first part.
So in general, I am not. In terms of the actual challenge, very interesting way to communicate the information. I
Hmm.
like the trickery that they're throwing at them. The cluing is so off that it unfortunately is wrecking the show in my mind. And I want to see what they do next episode. Maybe this was just a bad fluke.
Yeah.
Maybe something just went wrong and like it was maybe supposed to be down there or something weird, but this episode, unfortunately, is lower than, in my mind, every episode of the US version at the moment.
I am, yeah. I need them to step it up and give me something a little bit better and a little bit more clearer, a little bit something. This just seemed like a lot of unnecessary here and there for no reason. You know what I mean? And so I just think they need to get it together. They need to figure it out. I'm going to give this second episode a watch. I could not watch
Mm-hmm.
both episodes at one time because it would be too much information in my brain. So I
Yeah.
chose not to watch the second episode right away. I'm going to watch it after this recording. I'm going to watch it later, and I'm going to take my notes, and I'm going to hope that it's clearer this time. But as of right now, Destination X UK, you are on borrowed time.
Yeah, it's like improve next episode, but if you're just going to do a similar thing to this again where it feels like I got rug pulled at the end, I might get off the bus early,
I
to
might
be
get off the
honest with
bus. I
you.
might medi. I might be medi and quit. Like, I might be lame and be like, yeah, I can't stay on this bus ride because
And
this was.
I don't like exiting shows early,
I hate it.
but like genuinely if it feels like as the viewer we're being messed with and watching a game that doesn't make any sense, I'm not going to continue watching.
Right. So I don't want to get messed with as a viewer. I want to be able to know what's happening. Like this is
Mhm.
crazy. And I love that they have the interactive games where viewers can play along and do that. I mean, we can never do that because we're not watching it live, and they only give them like 5 minutes to do it, so we
Yeah.
can't do it. But I love that they can do it. So if you're in the UK and you watch the show and you can follow along, let us know how that is working and how fun is it to play along watching. And if you're good at it, if you think you can be on the show next season, like let me know. But that's going to do it for us. We I don't think I have anything else to say until the next episode, but we'll be back tomorrow to talk about the next episode of Destination X UK. And hopefully it won't be as confusing to us, Jack.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. But we're gonna go. We appreciate you watching. Please subscribe if you have enjoyed, if you haven't subscribed already and you've enjoyed our commentary and you want to see if we continue or not, hit the subscribe button, follow along, hit the notification bell so you never miss a single in a single one that we a single piece of content that we put out, and we're going to put out a lot of content. Trust. Follow along, hit the subscribe button to this channel and all of our other channels. All those links will be in the description below, as well as our audio podcast links, our Patreon links, all of our socials at the Cut Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, and where you can get your mug at lanaviews.etsy.com. And you can follow Jack and I if you choose. That would be cool. And that's gonna be it. So we are gonna check out. You go watch another video. We're gonna go make more content. Just click the next video that's right down there on the screen. It should be there. It should be there right about now because we're gonna go. So